I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
So remember back in May of this year when U.S. politicians and the media were all up in arms about President Trump accepting a gift of a luxury Boeing 747 from the Qatari government? Well, some naysayers were calling it a bribe, but others simply called it, well, a very nice gesture.
I think that was a very nice gesture.
I mean, after all, only a stupid person would turn down a free, pimped out 747, right?
I could be a stupid person and say, oh, no, we don't want a free plane. We give free things out. We'll take one, too.
Okay, but what about the other Air Force One jets? Are they still in tippy-top shape, or is the cost to maintain them so astronomical that you wouldn't believe it?
We have 40-year-old aircraft. The money we spend, the maintenance we spend on those planes to keep them tippy-top is astronomical. You wouldn't even believe it.
But seriously, is President Trump the kind of guy to turn down such an offer?
I would never be one to turn down that kind of an offer. I mean, I could be a stupid person and say, no, we don't want a free, very expensive airplane.
Well, there you have it. Trump, not being a stupid person, got his new ride while he waits for Boeing to finish his official rides. And now the U.S. Air Force has officially announced that they have begun turning the former Qatari One into an Air Force One. But what does that mean exactly? And what about all that luxurious gold interior? Will they be removing them in the process? Well, that all depends. Does Donald Trump like gold things?
Maximus!
So a Boeing 747-8 intercontinental jet that once served as the opulent flying palace of the Qatari royal family is now at the center of one of the most ambitious aircraft conversions ever attempted. And according to the United States Air Force, the $400 million Boeing jumbo ride donated by the Qatar royal family earlier this year has officially entered the process of being transformed from a flying palace into a flying fortress to carry the most powerful man in the world, and will serve as the new Air Force One. At least until sometime later this decade when Boeing completes the official new Air Force One jets, also Boeing 747-8s. While the former Qatari Emir's jet, tail number A7HJB's spacious cabins and gold leaf luxury finishes might have suited royal guests, the aircraft's new mission is to carry the President of the United States with the highest levels of security and resilience ever engineered into a civilian airframe. The U.S. Air Force has quietly started converting the jet, valued at about $400 million, that was gifted to the U.S. Department of Defense earlier this year and was transferred to the Air Force for use in what is being officially described as executive airlift support. However, it's no secret President Trump has quite publicly said that he intends for the aircraft to serve as a future Air Force One before ultimately being displayed at his presidential library. Still, despite the president's public proclamations, the Air Force has avoided discussing the precise role of the aircraft and has provided few details. However, the Air Force did confirm the project, saying, as directed by the Secretary of War, the Air Force is modifying a Boeing 747 aircraft for executive airlift support, but details related to the contract are classified. However, the cloak and dagger classified nature of the conversion has raised eyebrows, particularly since the ongoing VC-25B program, Boeing's effort to replace the two aging VC-25A presidential transports with new 747-8s, remains unclassified, with Boeing recently suggesting that those aircraft could be delivered as soon as 2027. However, by contrast, any details of the Qatari flying gold jumbo palace conversion have been kept a tightly guarded secret. Neither the contractor responsible for the work nor the scope of modifications has been publicly confirmed. However, as we reported here on the channel earlier, L3 Harris Technologies is leading the project, though that company has not commented either. Air Force Secretary Troy Mink told Congress in June that the money to begin the conversion was drawn from the LGM-35A Sentinel Intercontinental Ballistic Missile Program. The program is in the midst of a schedule change, thus freeing up early year funding available for outfitting the Qatari 747. But converting a commercial jet into an Air Force One is no small task. The process involves stripping existing systems and installing advanced communication suites, hardened defensive countermeasures, and other equipment capable of supporting the President and national security staff during crisis. Agencies including the Secret Service, CIA, NSA, and the White House Communications Agency are expected to play roles in ensuring the aircraft meets stringent security counterintelligence requirements. And while this project has its supporters and critics alike, we're not here to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of the things that might go into pimping out President Trump's new gold-bathed jumbo ride. Well, the logical first step in the conversion process, of course, would be to complete a strip out of the interiors and system that came with the Qatari gift. Every panel, cable, and electronic component is subject to forensic level inspection to confirm that nothing unknown remains. Non-cleared electronics, entertainment systems, and proprietary sensors are being removed in order to provide a clean slate. This stage may not be as dramatic as installing new technology, but it is essential to ensuring that the platform starts life in the U.S. service free of any security risks. Once that's done and the cabin has been stripped naked, that's when the real fun begins, with the wiring and electrical backbone. Unlike a standard luxury liner, the U.S. President's Air Force One is a command center in the sky and must carry redundant power systems, shielded harnesses, and electrical systems and wiring that can withstand whatever man and nature can throw at it, including electromagnetic pulses. The presidential level upgrade power network will support everything from secure communication terminals to defensive systems that draw far more power than any passenger aircraft would normally require. However, the most demanding element of the conversion is the communication suite. For a president, even at 40,000 feet, he can never be out of touch. So engineers will integrate global multi-band satellite communications, including protective links comparable to those in military spacecraft, secure voice, video, and data lines, along with strict electromagnetic shielding and Tempest standards. Tempest standards are a set of U.S. and NATO government requirements for protecting sensitive information from interception by analyzing unintentional electromagnetic radiation emitted by electronic devices. Also, entire sections of the main cabin area will be transformed into White House Communications Agency workspaces and secure operations rooms, allowing presidential duties to continue uninterrupted in the air or on the ground. Survivability upgrades are equally crucial. The aircraft will gain missile warning sensors, directional infrared countermeasure systems, and the ability to confuse or deflect threats from the ground. Hardened cabling, structural shielding, and aperture protection will help guard against electromagnetic effects, while defensive systems will provide both soft kill and potentially hard kill layers of protection. The exterior may not advertise these features, but they form a hidden armor that makes a presidential aircraft more than just a luxury jet. Also, major structural hull modifications will need to be made. Dedicated air stairs will allow the president to board and deplane without relying on airport equipment. Reinforced doors and windows and state-of-the-art medical suite and secure conference spaces are all being added. And to support all this, the environmental control systems will be upgraded, along with additional auxiliary power units and specialized avionics. Even baggage and handling storage solutions are being redesigned to allow greater independence on foreign trips. Cost and timeline, however, remain a matter of debate. Independent defense analysts and Pentagon officials suggest that the full scope of modifications could climb as high as $1 billion and might require 2 years to complete. However, the Air Force has offered a more conservative estimate, saying that the work would likely be finished for considerably less, projecting the bill at under $400 million. And that brings us to the most important feature of the president's new Bling machine, and that's all that gold. And had this been any other president's term in office, you know all those opulent gold-swathed fixtures and furnishings would be ripped out and replaced with typical U.S. government drab. But come on, this is Donald Trump we're talking about. This guy has lived his whole life awash in everything gold, from his toothbrush to his toilets. So if you think they're going to replace all that luxurious leftover Qatari bling, think again. Because according to the design plan, not everything is being torn out. Much of the Qatari luxury fit-outs, such as lounges, dining salons, and private bedrooms, are compatible with presidential use. While some of those areas may be replaced or lightly modified, the Air Force is allowing the rest of the aircraft to retain some of its, quote, regal character. Behind the gold lame panels, however, the transformation will be profound, turning a gift of diplomacy into an aircraft designed to keep the leader of the free world safe and secure. But for now, while the aircraft is being transformed under a cloak of secrecy, with funding diverted from one of the Pentagon's most sensitive weapons programs, and with oversight largely out of public view, whether it ultimately serves as a stopgap Air Force One or a supplemental executive transport, the Qatari gift has already become a flashpoint at the intersection of diplomacy, politics, and military procurement. And with that, I leave the rest up to you. So be sure and let me know down below. And as always, until next time, this is Maximus.